Hi folks, Mark here from Maple Capital Partners. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that we've made so far in this business. In the real estate syndication world, you often only hear about the shining successes from different groups. You'll see the Facebook posts about closings. You'll hear podcast appearances and conference speakers talk about all their many successes along the way. However, our journey has been anything but an easy road, and we've definitely got the scars and stories to prove it. That being said, real estate is still one of the businesses where if you stick with it long enough and work consistently enough, success is inevitable. In this video, we'll talk about some of the biggest mistakes we've made thus far, and hopefully that'll show you that we're human and also give us a chance to talk about our story and how this business has tested us at various times, but it's always forced us to elevate our game. Hopefully, this will help you avoid some of the very same mistakes in your business, whether that's multifamily real estate syndication or otherwise. See, these are universal lessons that we believe can be applied to any business or entrepreneurial endeavor. Without further ado, let's get started. Gonzalo?
Thanks, Mark. So the first one is thinking that we had to do everything on our own, right? Starting as early on in a business, you're really the one that is poised for building out your vision, right? What you want to do. So, honestly, you probably think that you're the best person that really can do everything in your business, but that's necessarily not true. Early on, we spent quite a bit of time working on really low dollar per hour tasks. A good example for us is things like building our website. We thought that we were the best ones. We had the vision, so we should be the ones building the website. And that really distracted us from the beginning from making really solid decisions on the overall, stepping back and looking at the macro level of where our business wants to go. Instead, we were focused on things like building our website. The next one really is we didn't bring on team members to help us fill specific roles that, frankly, we just weren't very good at. Going back to the website again, these were just not our superpowers, just things that we just weren't really trained or good at to do. So this really stunted our growth in the beginning and really slowed us down, we think. Today, we're always asking ourselves if what we're doing is kind of like the highest and best use of our time. And potentially if it's something that we can either A, automate using software, or B, outsource it to somebody that's just much better at doing it than we are and can get it done in a much faster. And frankly, the final product would be much better if we were to outsource to a specific person that's what they do day in, day out. Even if you can, you don't want to be the person necessarily responsible for everything in your business because there's only one of you and your time is very limited. In our case, there's 2 of us, but still time is very limited with the amount of tasks that really is required to start a commercial real estate business. So as you grow, you naturally want to try to offload a lot of these small, low dollar per hour tasks to other folks. Either it's in the way of automation by potentially looking at softwares that you can pay a low monthly subscription, but yet have quite a bit of value coming out of those softwares by automating things that take away your time. And the next one that's really been big for us is really outsourcing. So using things like virtual assistants or maybe local talent in the area that you are to help you offload some of these low dollar per hour tasks that you can give to these people. And then that'll shift your focus on really the big macro picture of where your business wants to be.
Thanks for that, Gonzalo. So yeah, where you're spending your time is super important. And that brings us to the second biggest lesson that we had so far, which is choosing poor partners. And that's probably the most costly mistake we've made in terms of time, as well as stress and money, has been our partnering with people who we ultimately shouldn't have. These were partnerships that floundered because there was either a misalignment of values or expectations. And most partnerships fall apart for these 2 reasons. And that's why it's vital to do a really thorough job up ahead of time of vetting your potential partners. It's a marriage, so you want to take your time getting to know and courting that individual. You want to see what makes them tick, whether they act with integrity when no one is watching, what their goals are, and ultimately how they respond when they encounter adversity. The next thing you want to do is identify and assign responsibilities before you ever get into business together. Having a document that outlines who is responsible for what, as well as how you judge success in these different areas, will ensure that everyone is held accountable. Then, when someone isn't pulling their fair share of the workload, you can point to the mutually agreed upon document as evidence of that. This avoids these discussions becoming very contentious and heated because you both agreed ahead of time on expectations from everyone. Now, in addition to these 2 lessons, we're going to offer a bonus to anybody who's interested, a set of questions that we can provide for those who are evaluating partners and questions you want to ask ahead of time, like what we discussed above.
Thanks, Mark. The last, but perhaps not the least of the list of things that we've learned the last years is really the scarcity mindset, and we think that's probably been a big factor of maybe us not being where exactly we want to be right now. Is thinking that we just were not, compared to other big operators, we were just not fitted or suited for this type of business, but that just wasn't the case. Leading on to the next one is really early on in the beginning is really we should have paid more for mentoring and coaching early on and learning from people who have made it. These programs have been instrumental in the growth that we have thus far, but unfortunately we didn't start it early on in our journey. We really should have engaged in the beginning more of these mentoring programs in the early years. Perhaps more importantly than learning from these programs and the membership that you're purchasing, it would have potentially helped us sidestep some of the mistakes that we made along the way. And through these folks that you are under, they will teach you things not to do, and therefore avoiding large pitfalls, which ultimately will cost you time, effort, and of course, money in the long run, but making decisions that you should have potentially avoided, and you would be learning it from a coach or mentorship program that you're in early on in your career. The next one is we should have invested in systems and building out processes early on, and that kind of ties to the first one about letting go of low dollar per hour tasks. So instead in the beginning, we really piecemealed different technologies together for a long time, really, where we thought it was good enough for the time being. A good example is a CRM system. We were thinking in the beginning, just a spreadsheet and just putting in information on the spreadsheet and just following that would be good enough. But in reality, investing in a low-cost system way in the beginning is going to pay dividends later on as your growth, your network increases. So similar to coaching and mentorship early on, our biggest mistakes and lessons has been that we've could have studied what works from others and copy that. And that goes back to the mentorship. If you're in a mentorship early on, you're really learning from someone who has made it there, who has been where you want to go. So why not just take what he did and copy that? We chose to really figure it out on our own and just do things our way. But in reality, you want to try to just replicate successes from folks that have made it. And we think that mentorship or coaching programs in the beginning would have really excelled their growth much faster.
Thanks, Gonzalo. These have been our top 3 biggest mistakes in our journey so far. Each of these lessons has come with its own share of pain. The late nights of tossing and turning, the money spent to resolve issues, and tons of stress along the way. That said, anytime that we've encountered adversity, we've always asked ourselves, what can we learn from this experience that will make us better investors? Framing things in that way has ensured that we've learned something each time that we've failed, quote unquote failed. Now, while it's great to take lessons and grow through adversity, wouldn't it have been better to have learned those lessons from the mistakes of others? That's why we put this video together, hopefully to inspire others to learn from the mistakes that we've made and avoid making those same mistakes along their own path. Feel free to reach out to us via email or posting in the comments of this video with any questions or perhaps some of your own great learning lessons from building your own businesses in whatever industries those may be. As always, I'll sign off by saying, be kind, be charitable, and invest wisely. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.